Thank you very much, Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, our Toastmaster guest, Prince. Yes, we need to be better speakers, and we learn how to do that here at Voyager's Toastmasters and all our Toastmaster experiences. Don't you want to be somebody who, when you speak, people are applauding, like this line here? Don't you want to be that person?
Yeah.
Yes, you do. Well, there are a number of things you can do to improve your chances of being that person. And I'm going to give you some foundation today on how to get started in being a better speaker. First of all, as Tim mentioned, I am a Toastmaster with experience. Doesn't mean I'm great, doesn't mean I know everything, but I have heard thousands of speeches. I have given hundreds of speeches. I do it for my business as well as for Toastmasters to get better. And I think I've learned a few things, or at least I have a preference in what I've learned about how to be a better speaker and how to deliver better speakers. There are three pillars. Oops, here we go. There are three pillars that you will need, but you must know your purpose of your speech, you must know your audience, and you must make a point and make it clearly. I'm going to talk about those three aspects today. And first of all, what is the purpose of your speech? Because this sets the foundation. Are you trying to inform people? Are you being educational? Are you entertaining? Are you leading a discussion to gather viewpoints and solve a problem, gain consensus? Are you trying to inspire people, make them act according to their higher beliefs and motives? Or are you trying to motivate, influence, persuade? Now, as speakers, we are probably always trying to motivate, influence, and persuade. So that overrides being an entertaining speaker, being an informative speaker, leading a discussion. However, each of these is dealt with differently. If you're going to inform, you're going to be doing informational topics. I would say you probably have a point that you're going to make because you want to give that information with a point of view. Now, the second aspect of being a better speaker is really one of the biggest things you can do to improve your speaking, and that is know your audience. Now, I work for a defense contractor. My bosses are always quoting military leaders, and I had one boss who loved to quote Sun Tzu, who was this war expert from ancient China. And he would quote, "If you know your enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles." That might be true, it might not be true, but people like to hear it. Well, the Jerry Marino version is, if you know your audience and you know their interests, you need not fear the result of 100 speeches or more. If you know your audience, you can speak to their interest, and you can speak in a way that persuades them to your point of view. Now, how do you know your audience? What skill or what trait will help you be a better person, will help you know your audience better? Think about it, think about it, think about it. It'll hit you in the face. Empathy. You need to empathize with your audience, whoever they are. And this is a very important point because you need to understand what are your audience's beliefs, what are their demographics, what are the characteristics of that audience? How much do they understand your topic? And are they going to be friendly or are they going to be antagonistic? Now, let me just talk a little bit about these because this is very, very important and you need to do some research. Demographics. If I'm speaking to a younger audience, I'm going to talk about things in a different way than if I'm speaking to an older audience, meaning the younger audience may not have the context of history. I might have to explain some things to a younger audience. I can't take it for granted. An older audience is going to have different concerns. Maybe they know the history, and I can deal with them in a different way. Beliefs, such as religious beliefs or political beliefs. I need to understand that so I can talk to them and resonate with their beliefs. Not that I'm going to agree with them, but I can understand how they are going to accept something I say to them. Values and characteristics. Now, for instance, we are Toastmasters, and I know we value self-improvement. We are working on our own skills. So I can speak to this audience and understand that when I'm speaking about something that's going to help them be a better person, give them more skills, they're going to accept it. The characteristics of this audience is they will be willing to. If this was a scientific audience, they might be more interested in the scientific facts and data behind what I'm saying. If this was a young high school audience, they might be interested in how can I use this on my next date? Or how can I use this in attracting the person I'm interested in? I need to understand those things. You need to understand those things so you can talk in their terms and give good examples. How much does my audience understand my topic? That's very important because I may use terminology that to them would be jargon. They don't understand it. I might use acronyms that they don't understand. Or if they know a lot about the topic, I might be able to talk to them in ways that they do understand, and they might be insulted if I explain something that's too basic and too simple. How friendly will this audience be? If I'm going to speak to a Rotary group, are they going to be friendly to my ideas about social welfare or about any other topic besides the business interests that we're generally interested in? So I need to understand that. How are they going to accept it? I need to couch my ideas, if it's not going to be a friendly audience, in ways that they can understand and accept. They may not agree, but at least they're not going to reject them outright. If it's a friendly audience, I can just go for it. They're going to agree with everything I say, or they're going to be in line with the things I say, and they're going to be agreeable to my ideas. So you need to keep those in mind, and you need to really understand what your audience and their background and how they're going to accept your ideas. Now, what's the point? Every speech needs to make a point. You need to understand what is the point of my speech. Point of my speech today, I want to help you be a better speaker. And you can be a better speaker if you start to use some of the techniques that I'm talking about. At least that's what I think. But that's my point. The fact that you can be a better speaker and you can build your speaking skills. My purpose is to be not just informative, but also a little bit motivational, a little bit inspirational, help you achieve a higher purpose to how you use your speaking skills. And I know my audience because I know you're familiar. If I'm going to a different audience, I need to make some adjustments. I need to do some research. Now, here's a little grid you can do to match your purpose and point with your audience. If you look across the top, I have the different purposes of speaking: inform, entertain, discuss, inspire, motivate, influence, persuade. I put them all in the same column because they're very close to each other. And if I was going to give a speech, I would want to know what are demographics, what are their beliefs. So if I'm going to give an informative speech, I can start to fill that in. Let's just say this is my Toastmaster audience. I know your demographics. We're most of us older. We need to have some younger people. I'll make that point while we're here, only because we need to continue after us older people decide we're going to move on. But I know my audience and I know the demographics. I know we're professionals, many of us. I know we want to improve our skills. If I were entertaining you, I would speak in those ways. I know I could talk about shows from the 70s, shows from the 80s. I could use those references. If we were doing a discussion, I know my audience because in this group, I know you want to improve yourself, so we can deal with those items and areas where I can get ideas. But how can we become better speakers? How can we become better motivators? How can we become just better Toastmasters? And I could go all the way across here and think about these things depending upon what I'm doing. Now, obviously, if I'm going to give an entertaining speech, I'll go down. What are the demographics? What are their beliefs? What are their values? And you can fill this in to your own purpose. But this is a good structure. And your speech really needs to start with what is your purpose? What am I trying to achieve? What are the characteristics of my audience? And what is the point I'm trying to make with this audience? Because once you have all those things, three things together, like Sun Tzu, you never need to fear 100 battles, nor do you need to fear 100 speakers. Mr. President.